Let's pray. God, as we look into the scriptures, continue to teach us that we might grow as your disciples. We ask this in Jesus' strong name. Amen. So life is easy when things are going well. But what do we do when we get setbacks and challenges? It can be tempting to panic or, of course, to sit around and complain. However, of course, this does no one any good and only normally makes us all feel worse. So Moses and Aaron finally go to the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, and they ask for permission to go and to have this festival to the Lord. And what does the Lord say? What does Pharaoh say? No. Who is the Lord that I should obey him? Let Israel go. I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go. And so he's very clear about that. In fact, it seems that he was obviously so angry and annoyed that the people were not working that he decided to punish the Israelites for listening to Moses and Aaron. And I think he was trying to undermine their authority and to show that the gods and the goddesses of Egypt were superior to this God, this Lord God. So as God's plan to free the Israelites began to work out, the first thing that happened was Pharaoh took revenge on the Israelites, and he decided they were going to have to make the same number of bricks without giving them any straw. Now, what does this mean? It means for Moses and Aaron, they just made everything work. And so the Israelite leaders came to them and said, "May the Lord look upon you and judge you. You've made us a stench to Pharaoh and his officials have put a sword in their hand to kill us." Poor Moses. He's given a job he didn't even want to do, to help people, and his first attempt to help just made everything worse, and they started complaining. And I think we can all feel sorry for Moses, and maybe some of us have even felt like Moses someday. So what do we need to understand? Well, the first thing we need to understand that things always get worse before they get better. Right? Think about it. Spring cleaning. You know when you have to clean out the house, you move the couches and everything away, you vacuum in behind where you might have cheated for most of the year. You may have a picture like on the left. By the time you pull everything out, it's askew and it's a mess. And it takes a long while to get back to looking like the other side. So you go from here to here. And so when you start spring cleaning, it's worse before it gets better. But that's true when we start anything new, right? You learn a new language or a new skill. You come from being confident what you know how to do to something else. Julianne, you told the story about learning clarinet, right? Julianne had to learn all the other instruments, band instruments, as part of your training at university. And you did very well, and you're used to doing very well. But what happened when you tried to play the clarinet? You squeak all the time. Now, they tell me was it because your pads of your fingers were not quite covering all the holes?
Yeah, the buttons were holes. Rather than most instruments just have keys. They were holes you had to fully cover.
And I'm told that when you compared her fingers to like Lexi's fingers, who also plays clarinet, the pads are the same, but she's got short, stubby fingers like me. And so she couldn't reach them and cover them completely. And was it a little frustrating? Because you usually play really well to be the kid who couldn't play very well. Yes, it was frustrating. So what did you do before your test, your playing exam? Well, did you keep trying? Did you quit? No, you didn't quit. You kept going and it got better. It'll never be your favorite instrument? No. Because it's like me. My high school music teacher looked at my hands and said, "Yeah, you're not a clarinet player." So, yeah. So, the reality is that sometimes when we're learning something new, it's worse before it gets better. And we have to deal with difficulties all the time. And God was trying to teach the Israelites to just keep on trusting Him even when things got bad. The second thing we need to understand is that we, as God's people, need to not put off dealing with adversity. In fact, we need to just go through it. But a few weeks ago, I was talking about this book, The Coddling of the American Mind, how good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation Now what happens at a maple syrup festival when you try to take those off? Why are they difficult to take off? Because they're sticky. So I gave the people doing that a very special lesson on how to wipe the stickiness off before they put the lids back on to help. But I still remember one particular volunteer, and every time they came in, she'd go, "Jim, I can." And I said, "Yes, you can. Try harder." "But the jar's slipping in my hands because they're wet." I said, "Well, are my hands dry?" "No. Get a cloth, hold on, and try harder." And most of the time, with gentle persuasion and a little bit of teasing, she was able to do it. When she wouldn't, I would come and do it and say, "There, you've got a 54-year-old arthritic man who's stronger than you." I thought it was funny. Anyway, but guess what? As the day went on, she got a lot better at it by just persevering. The fact is, we've got to let our kids do things to develop normally, which include a little bit of resistance and challenging, or things don't work well. The military does that. It's hard to see there, but that's a bunch of Canadian soldiers playing on monkey bars. No, they're not playing. They're actually working their way across, hanging. Anybody did that when you were a kid? Yeah. Is it easy? No, it's not. So what do we do with our soldiers? We put them intentionally in difficult situations that are actually painful to grow strength, to help them develop and trust each other. You send them out in groups with survival training, with knives and matches and a tarp, and say, "Go find food for a few days." And they do difficult things. And it's just like plants. Jim, you're a horticulturalist, aren't you? What happens if you leave plants inside a greenhouse too long and then take them outside? They die. Pardon? They get cold, so they're not used to the temperature. But if they start outside or get outside quick enough, they're okay. And what about sometimes the wind will blow them over too? If they get too high and they don't have enough fibers built up from the wind, they'll collapse. And so we need some resistance, we need some adversity to help ourselves grow and develop. So guess what? This is why in James it says, whenever you face trials of any kind, count it all joy. Because that will help us grow and develop. So we serve a God who loves us and has setbacks to help us grow. And the simple fact is that we need to get in the spiritual habit of Christians to understand short-term gain leads to long-term pain, but short-term pain often leads to long-term gain. Dishes are the perfect example. Y'all leave them there because, I don't want to do them tonight. And then the next day, you don't just do dishes, you do dishes. And Mike Babcock, he actually talked about it. Leafs coach. Now, after the way the Leafs played last night, I don't know, but he was talking about a year and a half ago about how the elite players get to the very top level. And he says elite players have to love their sport a lot, or they won't put in the ridiculous number of hours it takes to get that high level of excellence. You've just got to put in hours and hours and hours. And it's short-term pain for long-term gain. And it also has to happen with children. You may not believe this, but when I was a little tiny boy about Bruce's age, I couldn't sit still, but I also wouldn't talk to anybody. In fact, I'm told I wouldn't even go to my grandparents. I was scared of them. I wouldn't go to junior church or Sunday school because there were big, scary people there. I wouldn't talk in front of anybody. And so my parents took it upon themselves to torture me. Whenever I needed to go and want something, I would say, "Mom, I need this." And if somebody else had it, she would say, "Okay, Jim, go ask them." "I can't." "Yes, you can." And they'd march me over there and say, Yeah, so one day after we're finished farming, we had to bring hay in. It was going to rain. It was about 9:30 at night. We hadn't had supper yet. They said, Jim, go in and use the phone. I hated using the phone when I was young. They tortured me and made me do that too. So they said, Jim, go in and order pizza and look it up. So I looked up and I found it in the phone book, and I was really tired. I picked up the phone and I said, hey, is this Gigi's Pizza? They laughed at the other end. They took my money and order, and we went and got supper. And afterwards, my brother said, Jim, did you really call it Gigi's Pizza? You didn't know that was Gigi's Pizza. Now, Julianne and Laura, you've seen me. When I get together with my brothers, do my brothers sometimes tease me? Yes. So that torturous teasing, you could have crushed me and made me feel insecure, or it could give me the strength to actually be able to do some of the hard things in life. And now listen, what I'm about to say is not to be critical in any way, because I love the two congregations you guys I get to serve. But anybody, Don Magugu would know this, anybody in public life, when you have 450 or 200 bosses, you cannot please everybody all the time, can you, Mayor? Former Mayor.
You just work harder.
You just work harder. Yeah, you can't please everyone. And so the teasing my brothers did have given me the strength and courage to sometimes do the hard things when you just can't please everybody and things get difficult. And that's a good thing. Again, short-term pain for long-term gain. So the Israelites are being put through a tough time. Why? If they were about to leave Egypt and go hang out in the wilderness where there's no food and water, you think they're going to have some challenges? God was trying to strengthen them to be able to do what they needed to do and to learn what? To trust Him even though you couldn't actually see what the results are going to be just yet. So when we face setbacks like the Israelites, let's not panic. Let's not start complaining, because that'll only make us feel worse. But let's realize that God must have a plan. Look for how He's trying to train us and teach us. Look and trust God and see what could happen on the other side. And yes, as parents and grandparents, you may be accused of torturing your children and grandchildren, making them do things they don't want to do. But guess what? Short-term pain for long-term gain. And we have a God who loves us enough to help